Hey there guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to set down a bunch of cameras and then I'm going to be telling you about the equipment that I use to make my YouTube videos. So if you have ever wondered what camera I shoot my videos on, what my lighting setup is like, what mic I use, or anything like that, then just keep on watching because that's what we're going to be getting into today. The very first thing I want to let you know before we get into the gear itself is just that all this gear is definitely not necessary to make good YouTube videos. Just about a year ago, I was shooting every single video on this camera right here, and I had a really simple setup. I made a video about that back then, and I'll leave a link to it down below. So if you want to see that really simple setup I used to use, then you can check that out. Now, at that time, my videos were not nearly as good as they are today. But the thing that changed isn't so much the equipment, the gear. It's much more the fact that I've learned a lot more about video creation and I've gotten a lot of help. The gear helps, but it's not the main factor for making better videos. So I don't want you to watch this video and think that you need to have all the different cameras and pieces of equipment that I talk about, because you definitely don't. Not to get started and not to be successful on YouTube and not to make great videos. These things help, but that's all. Okay, so with that being said, by the way, I've got my computer monitor up over here and I've got some prices and stuff on it, so if you see me looking over here, that's what's going on. With that said, let's start by talking about cameras. So as I mentioned, I used to always shoot every video on this camera right here. This is the Canon T6i. It's a great little camera. It is discontinued because it's not the latest model of the Rebel series. I love shooting on this video. I love the way the footage looks. It's probably not the camera I would recommend you invest in right now if you're thinking about buying a camera, just because there are better cameras you can buy for less money at this point. But it is a great option if you happen to have a camera like this. Use a Canon Rebel camera, or if you can find one refurbished or used for a good price, it is a great option. So after I bought this camera though, and I'd been using it for a while, I decided to invest in a new camera. There was two things I was looking for. One was 4K video. I wanted to at least try that, see if it had a positive impact on my video quality. The other thing was I wanted in-camera or in-body image stabilization. So basically for my shots to look more stable if I'm doing handheld shots, because I wanted to get more creative B-roll type shots to make my videos more interesting. And it didn't work very well on this camera, and I thought it might if I had IBIS, in-body image stabilization. So I bought this camera right here, which is the Sony A6400. This camera costs right around $1,000, looking at my prices here. It's $898 for the body only, or $998 with this lens right here. It's a great little lens that I do really like, and that was a really good price for it. I like this camera a lot. What I like the best about it is actually that it is so portable. So it's my favorite travel camera because I can put it in my purse or in my suitcase really easily, and the footage does look really good, and it has that in-body image stabilization, so the shots are more steady, and it's got this nice little pancake lens. So yeah, there's a lot of good things about it. It's not my favorite camera for shooting YouTube videos because the footage just doesn't look exactly like what I want. It does work great though. I would honestly recommend this camera because it has a lot of good features and it works really well. So this is a camera I would recommend if you want to spend about that much. Then we've got the camera that well, let's talk about your camera first. So here we go. This camera right here, this is the Sony A7, what am I saying? A7 III, A7III. And this is the camera that is my videographer's camera. And so he sometimes shoots my videos on this camera. Nick, do you have anything particular you want to say about this camera?
Shoots really good 4K video. It was the first of the Sony line to shoot 120 frames per second at really high quality.
And so if you don't know what that means, basically it means that we can shoot slow motion clips with this camera really well, and they'll look completely buttery and smooth. There are plenty of other cameras that do that, but the two other cameras I was just talking about, neither of them do that. So we use this camera for shooting B-roll a lot because it's nice to have that slow-mo. And it's just, the other thing about this camera is it's a full frame camera. And so that's going to, essentially like the effect it has on the videos is that you're gonna get like a higher quality image really because the sensor's bigger. Like that's really the end result.
Yep. Better quality lenses available to it.
Yeah, better quality lenses. So this is definitely a professional camera, whereas these I would say are like good quality amateur cameras. They're not technically professional, mostly I think because they're not full frame. And so now you're actually looking at me through the Sony. So this is what the Sony footage looks like. But one thing I have learned as we've been testing out these different cameras, different equipment, is that while right now this is what the Sony looks like, you change a few settings and it can look completely different. You change your lighting, it looks completely different. And we've like gotten a new camera and thought, oh, we don't really like how this footage looks, and then changed a few things and we loved how it looked. So just keep that in mind. If you're not liking how your camera looks right now, just that you could try changing a few settings and learning more about your camera, learning more about videography before you go out and spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on a new camera, because you might be able to really work with what you have and use it to its full potential. Okay, and the last camera that we use to film my YouTube videos is this one that you're looking at right now called the Nikon Z6. Okay, so you might not have heard many people talk about Nikon cameras. They're not quite as popular as Sony or Canon, and they don't have as much of like a cult following. But when I've been trying to upgrade my equipment and doing a lot of research, I've just discovered that there are some amazing cameras out there from brands that aren't quite as popular, that are sometimes better than the popular options. And this is one of them, the Nikon Z6. It is a full frame professional camera. It does 4K, it does 120 frames per second, so you can get that nice slow-mo. We've got some great lenses for it, and the footage from it does look really, really good. Now, this is definitely the most expensive camera that we use. Right now, you can get this camera for $1,800 or for $2,400 with the lens. And that is a little bit more than the Sony, just a little bit though. The Sony camera I was talking about before is $1,800 for the camera alone, so same price as the Z6, but the lenses are a little bit cheaper. You can get it with a lens for $2,000. So now we're talking about some pretty expensive cameras. Of course, there are much more expensive cameras out there, but for me, I'm getting 99% of the features and the results that I want out of these cameras at this price point, so there's not a lot of point for me to spend $5,000 or more on a camera. The last camera that I want to talk about that I film my videos on sometimes, and you could definitely film your videos on, is my cell phone camera. So I actually bought this phone after I watched a video from Matty Hapuya after the new iPhone came out, and he had shot this whole cinematic B-roll sort of sequence with the new iPhone camera. And I was blown away, and just to be clear, this is not an iPhone, I'll get to that in a minute. I was completely blown away. It looked incredible, so crisp and clear, the lighting was fantastic, and the stabilization. He was walking in some of the shots, he was running in some of the shots, and it looked so stable. I thought, that's crazy, that's what I was trying to get out of this camera right here, that super stable footage. And yes, this camera has IBIS, and it helps, but it wasn't anywhere near as stable as it looked in Matty's video where he was reviewing the iPhone camera. So I thought, man, do I need to switch from Android to Apple and get that phone? But I did some research and I found out that the new Note 10 had also just come out, and it had a very similar type of camera in it with 3 different focal lengths of lenses also, and was purportedly really good. I watched a lot of side-by-side footage and it looked like this was just as good, if not maybe even a smidge better. So I went out and I bought this phone. Now, this phone, not cheap. I mean, especially if you think about for a cell phone, I think it's about $900. So a similar price to this camera. Now, there's things that this camera can do that the phone definitely cannot, but the phone is my phone, so it's serving that purpose. And the image stabilization in this phone is actually so much better than in any of the cameras that we have. I can run down the street with this filming something and it looks so smooth. With this, if you're being careful and you're doing a handheld shot, it won't look bad. If you walk, it looks a little bumpy. if you run, it's basically unusable. And so this really serves the purpose that I originally bought this camera for. All that to say, they make cell phone cameras really, really good these days. So if you have a phone that's less than a couple of years old and you want to get started making YouTube videos, or maybe right now you're filming on your webcam or you're filming on an old camcorder or something like that, try making videos with your phone, because more likely than not, you're gonna get pretty good image quality and plenty good enough to start out with, and even potentially good enough to grow a successful YouTube channel with. Because you'd be surprised at how many YouTubers actually just film on their phone, and you never even know because their videos look really good. Okay, so now let's talk about audio. This is something I completely slacked on when I was first making my videos. I just used the microphone in the camera and it sounded terrible, and I didn't even notice because I was distracted by all the new things I was learning about making videos and because I didn't have anything to compare it to directly. But when I got a mic, it made a huge difference. So most of the time we are filming my videos using this mic right here. This is the Rode video mic, and this mic costs $110. Or if you buy it with all of this setup here, this boom setup, then it costs $200. And by the way, I will be leaving links to all of this down below so that you can easily find these things if you're interested in them. I would highly recommend getting the whole boom kit if you're interested in this mic, because this mic works the very best if you get it as close to your mouth, or as Nick told me earlier, as close to my diaphragm as possible. And just having this boom kit made it super easy to set up. I know nothing about this sort of thing, but it was very intuitive. The other mic that I use a lot is actually on this camera right now. It's this one, and this is the Rode Video Micro mic. It's a tiny little shotgun mic. You can put it on top of your camera like this, or you can put it on a boom pole like we have the other one. It's very similar to the other mic, but it's not as big or as powerful, and so it doesn't sound quite as good. It just sounds like a little bit tinnier, and it doesn't like deal with the ambient sounds in the room quite as well. But it does work really well, and it is a fair bit cheaper. It's about $50. Like I said, you can put it on your camera, so that can be really convenient. That's what I did for a pretty long period of time, and it really improved the audio of my videos. But the Rode Video Micro mic does work really well. It's a lot cheaper, more affordable at about $50, and it's the audio that you're hearing right now. So if you like what this sounds like, if this sounds good enough to you, then you can save yourself a little bit of money and at least start with this more affordable option. Now you're going to keep hearing this for a little bit, because next up we are going to talk about lighting, and so I need to stand up and show you guys what's going on. Now I apologize that the exposure here might be a little bit off because we've got this bright light next to me, but so what I'm using to light my videos is two of these tree lights. Need to show them, Nick. Two of these tree lights. I actually got these from Walmart. They're about $30, and we've just put some high wattage LED bulbs in them. Now you have to be a little bit careful if you just buy regular old lighting fixtures. Most of them have safety rating requirements on exactly how bright of a bulb you can actually put in them and not have a fire hazard. Because these are LED bulbs, we're able to have a quite bright bulb with still a relatively low wattage, but this is the brightest bulbs we could put in these. So the purpose of these lights is to light the background. It's essentially the fill light for my videos. One thing I did wrong for a long time was I pointed them like right at me and my background, and it made a lot of shadows that weren't very pleasant, especially with like those things on my shelves. So what I learned later is that it's best to bounce them off of like the wall or bounce them off of the ceiling, and then the light that actually is hitting the set, hitting my face, will be a lot more, do you have a word for
diffuse?
This, Nick? Diffused, yes, exactly. It'll be a lot more diffused, it'll hit things more evenly, and it won't make these harsh shadows. Okay, as I spin around here, the last light that we've got going on that we use in my videos is this crazy looking contraption right here. That isn't nearly as fancy as it actually looks, because this light has a secret. So what you see here is a big softbox, and softbox lights can be pretty expensive, but actually what we got is a ring light that I put a softbox on top of. So the ring light is around $100. I was actually looking at the price of them, and here I'll awkwardly look at my monitor. And when I bought this light, it was $100, but now this light is only $75, and I bought it 2 years ago, so I don't know what's up with that, but now you can have it for only $75. It's a fantastic light. I was a little worried when I bought it actually because it was from a brand I'd never tried before, and a brand that I thought was probably like a Chinese brand. I didn't know if it would really hold up, but it's held up for 2 years, hasn't given out on us at all, and it lights the videos really well. I used to point this light right at my face, and that was really good in some ways. It lit my face really well, very, very pretty lighting, but I had to be careful to not make those harsh shadows because it was such a bright light right at my face. And also, it gave me these circles on my eyes, so you could see the light reflecting in my eyeballs. And I got a lot of interesting comments about that. A lot of people asked if I was wearing like colored contact lenses or something like that were making my eyes look strange. And I tried a lot of different angles and stuff to try to fix the problem, and I definitely was able to make the problem less, but putting this softbox on was really the solution. I've also had an umbrella on it that solved the problem as well. Something to diffuse it so that there's not those circles. Oh, the first thing I did was actually, I just threw a sheet over it, and that really helped. So if you have a ring light, then I would recommend doing something to diffuse it. And if you don't have one, I would recommend it. It's a great light. It works to really evenly light things and provide just like a good, it disperses the light well because it's a pretty big light. Yeah, so that's what we've got going on for lighting. Oh, we should show them our weird light. Here's our weird light. We just added this very recently. What is this light doing, Nick?
This is a kicker or a backlight. And
so basically when I sit down well, actually it doesn't work as well when I sit down here, but it's basically lighting the back of my head a little tiny bit. So it makes it so I kind of am separated from the background. It gives my hair a little bit of a glow. It has more of an effect when I'm sitting in front of the desk. Yeah, like that, ta-da! And it's hard to get the light behind me in a shot sometimes without having the light like show up in a weird way. Especially in this set, we've kind of like wrestled with how to put a lamp behind me or something to get that effect. So this is our solution for now. As you saw a moment ago, it is just like a can light that I put a floodlight in, and that's kind of the situation with a lot of my lights, is I've just kind of hobbled things together to make them work. Mostly because I wanted to experiment and have kind of this like custom setup to like fix specific lighting problems that I have or have had. And I think that that's something that you can think about as you are working on coming up with a good lighting setup for your videos, is that you really need to design some sort of lighting system that works with the problems of your space. So for example, if you've got a really bright window on one side, you need to think about if you need a light on the other side to balance it out, or if you need to turn and face the window, or what you want to do. Or if your room is really dark, then you need to make sure you have plenty of lighting for both your face but also for your background, and then it's all really well diffused, because otherwise you're going to have really harsh shadows. So you just need to think about your situation as you're trying to figure out your lights, but just remember that lights don't have to be super expensive. I mean, this entire lighting setup, $30 for each of those tree lights, and now $75 for that ring light, and that's it. Okay, so we've gone through most of the big stuff now, and there's just a few random other accessories that I use when I'm filming my videos. The first one is these headphones right here. They're from a brand called Meze, and Meze actually sent me these headphones several months back, and my first impression of them was just, wow, they're so pretty, but the more we've used them, the more we really like them. They have great sound quality, they're really comfortable, and they come with a really long, really good quality cord, which is really nice for filming, and just for like plugging into my computer and that sort of thing. But I always get compliments on how stylish they look, and like I said, they sound fantastic also. So if you're in the market for a good pair of headphones, I'd recommend those. And then the next thing is our camera monitor. So this is a little device that is a monitor, just like you might have for your computer or something, but it's a tiny one, and you can connect it to your camera to be able to see what your camera is recording. You might want to use something like this if you have a camera that doesn't have a screen that flips around so you can see yourself, or if you're filming things at different angles where you can't always be behind the camera when you're filming. You can use the monitor to see what your camera is filming. You also could attach it via a little arm like you see here. We've got it attached with this arm to the top of the camera, but you could attach it to the bottom part of your tripod so that you could see from, again, just from a different angle. You also can sometimes see more accurately what the end product is going to look like. And there's a bunch of other reasons why a monitor can be helpful. This one works really well. It's about $300. You can definitely get cheaper ones though, if that isn't quite in your budget. Okay, and the last thing that I'll mention is the computer that I use when I am editing videos, which I do sometimes. Nick and Shayla edit a lot of them, but when I edit them, I use this computer right here. It is a Cyber Power PC, so it's actually a gaming computer because after looking around quite a bit, trying several different computers, I just realized that I needed something kind of heavy duty, robust, with good graphics, and plenty of power, which sounds a lot like what a gaming PC might have. So that was what I bought, and it works really well. I've been using it for well over a year now, and I love it. It cost about $1,500. And then I've got this monitor right here. It's this big curved monitor from Samsung. Before this, I had a laptop that I always was working on and made all my videos on, and it was a great laptop, but I was always working on this tiny screen. I didn't think much of it until I got this big monitor and I realized how nice it is to be able to see what you're doing so much better, have so much more space to work. It made a big difference for video editing and also for using graphic design programs like Photoshop. So as I was planning out this video and I was just compiling this list of all these different pieces of equipment I use, and then I was researching the prices of them so I could share that with you guys, I just realized it was a lot of money, which of course I knew, but I decided to add it up, and the grand total for all the equipment I use to make my videos is $5,532. Now, that is including only the one main camera that we normally use and one of the microphones, because of course we're not like using multiple microphones normally or using multiple cameras at the same time, although we did for this video, so that does happen sometimes. But for most regular videos, about $5,500. But, as I mentioned earlier, that is not necessary, definitely not necessary to get started, not necessary to make good videos, not necessary to grow. You really can get started with just your phone and some decent lighting, which could be a window, okay? So your phone and a window. That could be free to you right now if you already have a decent phone, but it doesn't need to be thousands of dollars for sure. This has become a hobby of mine, something I'm really interested in, and so it's something that I like to experiment with and really try to get the very best results. It's something that I'm interested in investing in. It's also one of the big important parts of my business. Making good videos really helps my business, and so it makes sense for me to spend money to make them as good as possible, because that will help my business be as successful as possible. But if you're starting out just for a hobby, don't let this intimidate you at all. Really, just get started with what you have. If you are ready to get started, then you can check out another video I made several months back about how to make your first video. It walks you through all the basics of what you need to know, how to use the basic equipment, so like how to set up your lighting, how to plan out your videos, how to get your shots, all that. I'll leave a link down below and also up there in the card. Like I said, it's called How to Film Your First YouTube Video. And then once you do get started and you are making videos on a regular basis, then what you'll need to do is figure out how to actually get views on them, because I don't want you to waste your time making videos that nobody watches, okay? I love being productive, I love getting things done, and I don't want you to waste that time. So what I did was I put together a free workshop that just walks you through exactly how to get views on YouTube. This is a lot of things that I've learned over the past 3 or so years here on YouTube as I've grown my channel, things that have helped me be successful. There's a link down below where you can sign up for that free workshop if that's something that you're interested in doing for yourself. Also, I just had a question for you. I was wondering if you might be interested in seeing a video about how I actually make my YouTube videos. So how I plan them out and how we decide what shots to get and how we get those shots and exactly where we put the lights and camera settings and that sort of thing. Is that something you'd be interested in? Leave me a comment below. Let me know, because I'm thinking about making that video, but I want to know if that's something that you would want to watch. Also, I was just checking my YouTube analytics, and it said that 80% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed to my channel. That seems pretty crazy to me. So if you happen to be one of those 80% of the people who are watching this video right now, well, first of all, hi, nice to meet you. My name is Gillian Perkins. This is my YouTube channel. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, you could hit that like button, but you also could subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this in the future. I make new videos here every single week, all about YouTube strategies, about entrepreneurship, about success and working for yourself. And if those are topics that you're interested in, then I would love to have you join me for the next video. And if you want to make sure you don't miss it, then also ring that notification bell. All right, well, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.